Foodies unite. November is a time when we tend to turn the focus to food. And of course, if you are in the kitchen, that means your kids are going to want to be in the kitchen. Let's take that desire for kids to be in the kitchen with you and turn it from frustrating to fun. Let's use that, make things into a learning opportunity. I'm Brandy. I am the mom behind Infinity's Bookshelf. I'm a mom of two with years of experience in the classroom and as a homeschool mom. And trust me, I have had my share of kids in the kitchen. I know that it can be frustrating. Let's take that frustration, turn it into something fun and a learning opportunity. We are going to take some yeast. We're going to put it into 3 different bottles, 3 different environments, see how those affect things. We're going to use it to blow up balloons. When our experiment's done, we'll talk about what's happening and how the yeast are blowing up those balloons. Go ahead and hit like and save this video now so you'll be ready for Thanksgiving week when you need a way to keep everybody busy and learning.
Here's what you'll need to do the experiment, and it's all stuff you probably already have in your kitchen. You'll need 3 different bottles. I'm using sparkling water bottles like ice bottles, but any bottle that a balloon will fit over will work. Smaller is probably a little bit better in this case. A 2-liter bottle might be too big. And 3 balloons to put over the bottles. The balloons are going to catch the gas and inflate as the yeast produces it. A marker to label our bottles. We want to know what's in each bottle when we're reading the results, and I tend to forget if I don't mark. Yeast. A yeast experiment would fall pretty flat without it. Sugar to feed our yeast. Honey to see if the yeast like the honey better than white sugar. Water. We're going to need both warm but not hot and cold. 1 is a feast for a mouse. All of our science experiments are based on a picture book, and since this book is all about Thanksgiving dinner, including the all-important rolls, it's a natural fit. Read the book and then do the experiment to round things out.
All right, let's get into it. Let's do the experiment. We're going to fill our bottle with cold water first. Let's put the water in there first. We're going to put in about a half a cup of water. This, as I always say, is not rocket science. It does not have to be exact. Okay, there's our cold water done. Put in my little funnel. We're going to give it a tablespoon of yeast. A tablespoon is about 1.5 packets of yeast. If you only have 1 packet, just use 1 packet. It's okay. And about a tablespoon of sugar. Then we're going to put the lid on really quick. Give it a shake. Kind of mix it up. Doesn't that look so delicious? And we're going to put our balloon on. Moms or teachers, if you have long nails like I do, be careful. I have punctured a balloon with those before. Okay. There's our cold one. Okay, now let's do our honey. Again, we have warm water. It's warm, not hot. And we're going to put in about a half a cup. Knocking things over. Okay, put that down in there. Gonna get our tablespoon of yeast. Drop that in there. Move that out of the way. I have these little packets of honey. You obviously don't need those. It's just easier for me as I'm filming to just put that little packet in than to mess with the whole honey jar, but either one totally works. And these little packets of honey were super expensive. They were like $10 for 10 packets. Go with the jar, honey. All right. Okay, put the balloon over it. Get it nice and sealed. And give that one a shake. There we go. Okay, let's do our last one. Again, we're going to put hot water in, about a half a cup. Put our yeast in. Remember, we're using regular sugar for this one, so put our sugar in. Whoop. Make a big mess. There's my lid. It's going super well. Does science go like this at your house sometimes too? Okay, give it a shake. Stretch that out. All right, there are our 3 bottles. Let's tuck those in, watch, and see what happens.
It's been a couple minutes. Let's check our bottles. We can see that the bottle with honey and warm water inflated its balloon first. The bottle with white sugar and warm water filled up not too long after. And remember back to when I said, be careful with your fingernails? Yeah, it turns out I punched a tiny hole in the honey balloon. Didn't affect our results, but it did start spraying yeast and foam all down the side of the bottle. And the cold water bottle has a sad limp balloon. It did fill up eventually, but it took about an hour. So what's going on here? How is water, yeast, and sugar filling a balloon? Believe it or not, yeast is actually alive. It's a single-celled fungus. That means it's just one cell, and a fungus is just a type of living creature. And when it's sitting in our cupboard, it's dormant. Dormant is just a fancy word for asleep. Yeast goes dormant when it runs out of food. Basically, all the yeast chow down on whatever food they have. In our case, the yeast will be eating the sugar and the honey. And as soon as they finish the food, they're like, forget this place and go to sleep. Same yeast, same. But how did it blow up our balloon? Okay, we took our dormant yeast out of the cupboard and added it to a container with water and food. When it hits the warm water with the food mixed in, it starts to wake up or activate. When it hits the cold water and food, it still starts to activate, but not as quickly. I'm slow on cold mornings too, yeast. As it eats the food, like all living things, it creates waste. In the yeast's case, that waste is alcohol, which is why yeast is used in beer and wine, but it burns off or heats off in cooking bread, and carbon dioxide. Yeah, that's right. When we eat bread, we're eating something that has risen and gotten fluffy because of a fungus's gas. Pretty exciting. The carbon dioxide fills that bottle and it has to overflow somewhere. Because we sealed off the opening of our bottle with a balloon, that carbon dioxide fills the balloon, causing it to inflate and stand on up. Based on the results of our experiment, we can tell a few things. First, yeast activates and releases CO2 more quickly in warm water than in cold water. Remember, those warm water balloons filled up pretty quickly. That cold water balloon took quite a while. 2, our yeast produced more gas with honey than with white sugar. The honey made the yeast a little gassy. And 3, in all 3 bottles, the yeast eventually made enough gas to inflate our balloons, so we had success in every concoction.
All right, your turn. Go and try it. If you liked this experiment, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We do a new Storybook STEAM experiment every single month. And we do art projects, sensory bins, read alouds, all kinds of fun things. Trust me, you do not want to miss it.